All right, welcome back, everybody. Metatrends with Mark and Mike. Mike's going to join us a little late here. Boaz, for your edification, the Mike is an elected politician in Miami and gets called away on every once in a while when we're shooting these. So, what I want to know is, well, let me set you up. Let me give you some bona fides here. Vistage told me just in the latter part of last year that there's only 16 people on planet Earth who have done more presentations than me, and you're one of them. So the deal is, I actually saw you speak about 17 years ago and then about 12 years ago. And I was quoting you in my presentations. And then I quoted you what I quoted about you. And like you were very gracious about that sort of thing. So why don't you tell us the audience a little bit about what got you to where you are now, what's your background, and what are the things that you're kind of seeing for entrepreneurs?
Yes. Thank you, Mark. First, it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm delighted.
Thank you.
My mother was in Poland, father from Austria. They both moved to Palestine in 1935 as pioneers to become, you know, not the beginners of a new country. I was born in 1947. My birth certificate actually says Palestine. Israel became a country in May of 1948. So lived in Israel till I was 9. We immigrated to America, lived in the Midwest in Tulsa, Oklahoma for many years. That's where I went to college, University of Tulsa, then California for a long time. So moved to Dallas 5 years ago, and that's where I am now. Newly married, just got married a few months ago.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. My daughter lives here in Dallas. My son is in San Diego. And my background, I used to produce television infomercials. Those half-hour shows to get you out of bed at 1 in the morning to buy something you didn't think you needed. Produced network television shows and radio and television news. I'm on advertising agency. And for the last 21 years or so, I've been a speaker for Vistage. And in Dallas, I'm also a carpenter and a builder. We buy houses, fix them up, and sell them.
So but you kind of man after my own heart in that department also. I'm a woodworker, so I do like cabinetry and moldings and things like that. So I'm curious about a couple of things here. Tulsa, Oklahoma. When I think epicenter of Jewish faith, I'm thinking Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That was culture shock. The reason we went to Tulsa, the reason we went to Tulsa is that's where the uncle was who sponsored us to become citizens. And so he had moved from New York. He was originally from Austria, where my father was from. And he moved to Tulsa to work for American Airlines, their big maintenance base. The only thing I knew, Mark, about the western part of the U.S. as a 9-year-old in Israel, the John Wayne movies I saw over there with the Hebrew subtitles. He would come over a hill, see a bunch of Indians, and say, "Oy vey, pilgrim." So that's all I knew. Very out of place.
So you're one of the few that would actually get this. So picture I was in Dothan, Alabama, doing a presentation, and I used the word chutzpah, and they were like, "That sounds Jewish." I'm like, "Well, you're not wrong." All right, so try saying things like Zeigezunt or any other type of salute in Yiddish. It's like doesn't go over well.
Indeed, there's actually a town in Alabama called Boaz, Alabama. So my wife and I are threatening to go there and start collecting taxes. I mean, really.
Sounds good. All right, so but your background is you've been doing some crazy number of presentations for Vistage, like 2,000 or so. The So what in the first portion of the podcast, we like to talk about like helping the entrepreneur market. So someone like Noah's age, who's in his early 20s, thinking about maybe owning a business down the road. Like you've been exposed to so many businesses in Vistage. I've been exposed to so many businesses in Vistage. And frankly, what's kind of odd and rare about me is I've actually studied Vistage members now for 17 years. I actually know how valuable it is to be a Vistage member in dollar figures. So how much more Vistage members have outgrown their non-Vistage member counterparts. The catch is for entrepreneurs, I think it's something like less than 0.5% of any company actually makes it north of 6 million in revenue. So the majority of them start out smaller. So just based on your experience, if you were starting out today, what are the avenues that you would be looking at? What sort of wisdom have you accumulated that would grease the skids for something like that?
I would get a college degree in these two books.
Think and Grow Rich and how to win friends and influence people. I remember this from your presentation. You're a huge Dale Carnegie fan and Napoleon Hill.
You know, Mark, this is one of the 10 all-time best-selling books in the history of the world. On the bestseller list every year since 1935. In my opinion, the best personal development, people skills, human relations, leadership, getting along with other people book ever written. Everything written since then is a derivation of this one way or another. And then Think and Grow Rich has made more millionaires than any other book in history. So I think the big mistake most people make when they start a business is they just start a business. They should first work on themselves
Mm,
and make sure they got the right attitude and the right understanding about what makes a business successful. I mean, this is about the greatest successes in business in the last century. What do those people have in common? They all had something in common. Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, the Wright brothers, they all had something in common, and it's all illustrated in that book. But here's the problem. People who read these kinds of books are reading too many of them one time only and not internalizing anything.
mm, interesting.
I once met somebody, Mark, who'd read 50 different personal development books. 50, 5-0. He was no more successful than the person who read none because he didn't internalize anything. So whether it's one of these or another one, I suggest reading at least 3 times. When it becomes a part of you. I thought these 2 books were so valuable that years ago I read each of these books once a month, every month, for 5 years.
Oh wow.
I've read these books 60 times each. Now they're a part of me. So I think that's where people go wrong. Let's just go start a business. Let's go get some money. Let's start selling a product. And they're mentally not prepared at all.
Well
How
said.
about mentally getting prepared?
Can I kind of follow up on that? Give a little fodder to your theory. All right. So I went to a college where if you could roll a joint left-handed, you were dean's list. And they pulled me aside after 6 months and told me I was one of the 25 worst students in the college. And I was like, percent? And they're like, "No," right? So it's like so what I realized was if I took the reading material to the library and rewrote it longhand in pen, I could beat the professor on their own test. So the way I do it is I don't read the same book 60 times. I'll read the same book up to 7, but I rewrite it up to 5.
Well,
And then what ends up happening is I know the information in the book better than the author does.
yeah, yeah, you're internalizing it. And majority of people don't. You don't realize that their attitude and what they have between their ears is more important than any amount of money they're going to get to start a business. I don't care how great that business is. They're not really in the business of the business. They're in the people business. The product is just a byproduct of them working with people. But the majority of people have no concept about how to deal with people, how to get along with people, and how to make people feel important. Everybody needs to feel important. And the reason companies have people come in the front door and people leaving out the back door is not because of a money issue or their boss. Those people didn't feel important.
Mm.
And so they're a revolving door. We need to realize people need to feel important,
Yeah.
and most don't.
So in the book I was just reading on the flight back from Minneapolis last night, it was talking about how even like the impersonal businesses are starting to dabble with the personal. Meaning like they're like, let's say you have a subscription to Netflix or whatever, they're trying to figure out, can they actually increase engagement, get people to use it? Because although subscription style businesses are ideal for creating valuation, significant valuation increase, like because what'll happen is it won't trade for a multiple of EBITDA, it trades for a multiple of revenue. It could be 1,000% increase in overall valuation. What they're realizing is it all comes back to engagement. Will they stay subscribed to something? And then can you make the person feel special? Like this one, I think it's called Bark Box. It's like treats for pets. When they find out that a pet died or a pet's pet died, like sometimes you have like we have two rescue dogs. So the deal is that if one of them dies, the other one's gonna be out of her mind, right? So what they do is they actually find out like for their subscribers whose pet died, and they send them a special gift. to kind of assuage some of the grief that they're experiencing because they lost a companion.
Mm,
And they even do it for the other dog. So they have a special treat gift for those type of things while they deal with their grief, you know?
that's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Well, there's a
No,
couple of things I find with entrepreneurs is what most people don't understand is business owners, they didn't necessarily start out saying we need to build a business. The better way to do it is, as far as I can tell, is to find some type of demand in the marketplace. Find something that's not right and then fix it and then go do it again and do it again, do it again, do it again, and do it again. But I think this is one of the dilemmas. Like I was having a conversation with a young woman recently, and she's in her early 20s, not realizing what men really are, not realizing the differences between men and women, that sort of thing. And she's kind of burdening her relationships with expectations. I said, this is the ultimate dilemma for human beings, especially around procreation. If you are, what you are attracted to is the opposite of you because it actually makes for hardy children. Like your biome will be so different. Believe it or not, Boaz, the women's sensitivity to smells is so much stronger than men's that while she's dating someone, she can actually smell the genetic makeup of that man and then be able
oh,
to figure out that's how women will say, like, there was no chemistry or there was chemistry. What it really is that her sense of smell is picking up whether they'll produce a hardy offspring or weak offspring. And if she's picking up that they'll produce weak offspring, she says there's no chemistry. Man might be perfectly attractive, but not for her, that kind of a thing. That's how wild it gets. So the dilemma is with young people, especially young entrepreneurs, is you have to go through a certain level of maturity in order to be a good spouse. And by the time you do that, you're no longer fertile. Right? So
mhm.
it's like there's a dilemma here. So now when you get with somebody, you're attracted to the opposite of what you are, which makes for a terrible long-term relationship, but great sex and hearty offspring. So it's this
Mm.
weird, twisted, complicated thing. I think we could even take that analogy and overlay it onto businesses. So why are they getting into business? Is their leadership ladder leaning against the right wall? That type of thing.
You just hit a point right there. Your main word you just said, Mark. Why? Why? The bottom line of Think and Grow Rich, he says, what do you want? What do you really want? What do you want 5 years from today in your life? So when someone starts a business, they need to identify a why. Why are you doing this? And if the answer is, I want to be successful, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything specific. Why do you want to be, why do you want to be successful? So I can make money. Why? So I can have a lot of it. Why? What are you going to do with that money? A reason. When the why is exciting enough, the how doesn't matter.
Oh,
But
I'm with you on that. 100%.
most people have never identified on paper a why. Let me give you an example of something. So Napoleon Hill says you've got to identify a why. Create a goals card, something like this. It has positive affirmations on one side and a reward on the other side. Napoleon Hill said there's got to be a reward. Why am I going to start a business and work so hard and be so frustrated for so long? Why? There's got to be a reason. And it can't be just want to be happy and successful. That doesn't mean anything. You know, being
Oh, it's too
happy and
vague. Yeah.
yeah, being happy and successful to a hobo is a dry place under a bridge at night when it's raining. To somebody else, it's a nice home in a nice neighborhood in Dallas. There is a difference between those two levels. So years ago, and I was sent by a Vistage company to speak for their event on the island off of Belize. This is a
Wow.
picture from that island. And I was so intrigued by that that I decided one day I'd bring somebody special back there. And so I was divorced in 2010 for many, many years. And on August 19th of 2023, I met Miss Judy, who's now my wife. We got married November 3rd, and November 5th, we were in Belize walking on this beach.
Nice.
That was a reason that I kept in front of me a picture all those years. And then we went there. That is a reason. You got to have a reason because starting a business is going to be awful and sometimes it's going to be so depressing, so upsetting at certain times. And if you don't have a reason for you doing all this, then it's easy to quit. Well,
Well,
what the heck?
let me lend some fodder to that too, because I think actually, I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I'm not positive. Noah can let me know about this because I don't know about you, but I speak so often. It's like I don't remember what I said last week or yesterday. Picture, I had a client that we were discussing why we went to the moon. So, and what it comes down to, most people want to ask them that question, especially engineers. They'll talk about like the kind of ego-driven Everest argument because it was there, that type of thing. The real truth is, in World War One, if you ruled the sea, you ruled the world. So the battleship was the pinnacle of weapons technology. In World War II, if you ruled the sky, you ruled the world. So the aircraft carrier became the pinnacle of weapons technology, and battleships were just future anchors. They were just ready to be sunk, especially because of the aircraft carriers, the fighters, and all that stuff. So Sputnik goes up in 57. What the hell do you think Eisenhower's thinking? The Russians could rain down missiles on us from space. So if you give scientists a strong enough why like that, they'll figure out the how. How I know that is one of my clients designed the lunar module. And so
Mm.
and that guy, man. So how I found out about that, this was an engineering professor at Queensborough Community College. And he lived in Sutton Place in Manhattan. And I used to meet him in Queens for dinner after he was done teaching his classes on his way home. We would meet for dinner at a diner in Queens, Fresh Meadows. And so I'm sitting there digging into my chicken parm, and I said, "Yeah, I just watched Apollo 13." And he goes, "Well, I designed a lunar module." And I was like, "What?" And I sat there for the next 2 hours as he regaled me with the stories behind it. They were so creative in the solutions that they had to come up with. They basically just repeated things they found in nature, and some of them it was like the guy who was heading up the whole thing was basically Asperger's slash autistic, but a genius. And he actually figured out, like, let me give you one quick story here. He was feeding his son, who was an infant at the time. Food fell off, and the food sat for a while, turned rock hard, and it gave him an idea. Because if the lemon crash landed on the moon, and it would have taken 2 weeks to send up a rescue party. Well, you can condense air enough that that's no big deal, but food was an issue. So where would they put it in the LEM? Space was at a premium. So he figured out he like this hard rocky aftermath of food on the floor gave him an idea. He crushed cornflakes, pulverized cornflakes, mixed it with oil and milk, and baked it into baking sheets. They cut holes in it, and it was the instrument panel to the LEM. So if you got hungry, you could just snap off a piece of veneer and eat it.
Wow.
It was like cramming food into the crevices of the LEM. And that was
I
just
mean,
one situation. Like I was floored by all the stories behind it. But the idea is if you give people a strong enough why, they'll figure out the how.
yeah. Yeah. And then something else that people can do when they start a business that is so inexpensive but can be so productive. Let me show you something.
Sure.
This is so kind of style. It's brand new. The handwritten note card. The handwritten note card. I'll mention actually two things. Start with the handwritten note card, and then I'm going to go to video texts. Video texts? But the handwritten note cards have been, it's got to be done in a certain way. First of all, never use the automated service on the internet that supposedly makes it look like it's your handwriting. I see those a mile away, and it offends me.
Yeah, it's like an
I wa-
insincere.
I wasn't important enough for somebody to actually write a card to me. I had to push a button and had a machine write a card to me. I'm not developing a relationship with a machine. So you can go to CVS, Walmart, whatever, get some blank note cards. Design on the front, blank on the inside. Do not use note cards with your name or your company logo on them, because if I see one of those, I'm thinking, you have a bunch of those, don't you? You send them to everybody. But if I see that this started as a blank card, you must have gone out and bought this for me, Mark. So you start with a blank note card. One line on a handwritten note card is more touching than two paragraphs in an email. Well, you haven't seen my handwriting, Boaz. Okay, slow down. Print one line, first names only on the cards. And what I'm going to suggest people do when they're starting a business, start sending note cards to everybody you know. Have a business card, which goes behind the card in the envelope, not inside the card. That screams business. Just John Smith, XYZ company, name, phone number, have an address, make it look like a real company. Some people hand out business cards. You have no idea where they are in the universe. What if I want to buy something from you and you're across town? I may want to go there. So have a business card, and all you have to do is just start sending cards to everybody you know. Dear Mark, I was thinking about you today. Have a good day. Boaz. What? What? The business card. Oh, boy, I started a company that manufactures something. Just made an impact. And I might tell somebody about you. So here's the way this goes. One line on a handwritten note card, no phone number written inside the card. Your business card is behind the card in the envelope. No return address or your name anywhere on the card. I want to force them to open up your card immediately. Because if I see somebody's name and address on the back of a card, oh, it's from so-and-so at that company, I'll look at it later. Just lost it. So I want to force people to open up the card immediately. And if it goes to a company, you want to bypass the secretaries, put the word personal on the front. Makes it look like an invitation. I wouldn't open it up. And then, never meter these and never use one stamp. Get a variety of small denomination stamps, at least 11 stamps, that add up to the postage. Numerous stamps that add up to the postage, like this, or like this, or like this. People remember this
Totally.
because it's so unique.
Do you think that
So unique.
so let me challenge you on this. Do you think that that's kinda lost on the next generation?
Oh, totally. But if they want to build a business and you want to do it quick and easier, do this.
Yeah.
In my humble but most accurate opinion, this gets people's attention. They'll remember you. They'll show it to other people. Did you see this card, Mark, I got from somebody the other day? I mean, they found all kinds of stamps. I don't know where they got this. Former President Eisenhower, Thomas Jefferson's over here, and this is over here. And I'm showing this to other people. You were talking about the moon lander. Well, there's some stuff from space. Amazing. Amazing. And all they have to do is just say, I was thinking about you. That's all. That would shake people up. What if somebody looks at the business card and thinks, wait a minute, I know somebody that could do business with Mark. I might want to call them. These are seeds that can bring a crop that is huge. And the average person, the average young person wanting to start a company will never think about this and never give it the value that it has.
I even do a thing where when I see people writing down my notes and when I'm presenting, I'll go evaluate their handwriting, and I'll look at them and go, whenever I see someone with perfect box letter handwriting, I think someone's buried in their basement. I turn to the next person sitting next to them, and I go, "You might wanna give this person a little wide berth over here." We got a bag of lye in his trunk.
That is really funny. That is really funny. I get reports back. People are just astounded at these cards. And I cannot toss any of these that people send me. These are cards people send me. Why? Because I make certain assumptions. I get a card like this from you. I'm thinking, my goodness, Mark went out and bought a card. Then he went over to the post office, bought a bunch of stamps, and then he wrote a note in his own handwriting. Where's Mark to? Wait a minute. I think I know somebody that might want to do business with Mark. This to me is a gift. That's why I can't toss any of these. I cannot trash any of these cards. And I have piles of them, piles of cards people send me. I cannot toss a single one of these, not a single one. This is the cheapest, most productive marketing tool ever, ever. So I had
Awesome.
somebody that wanted to get a new client. He'd been trying to get into the door for several years. Nothing happens. Comes to my seminar. He started sending cards every week to the CEO of the other company with all the stamps. First week, he just sent a note, said, Dear Mr. Johnson, I was thinking about you and your company. Have a good day. Next week, Dear Mr. Johnson, it's fall, getting colder. Thinking about you and your company. Boaz. The third week, and I sent him on Thursdays, the first 2 weeks, so it would arrive on a Monday for sure. The third card, the third week, he sent on a Friday, so it would arrive on a Tuesday. His note said, "Dear Mr. Johnson, I know you were expecting my card yesterday. I apologize for the delay. It will not happen again." He kept sending the notes every week for 2 months. The CEO finally called him himself. "Are you the one sending me those cards every week? Yeah. You are just so silly. Get yourself over here." That silliness turned into a profit of over $6 million in the next 90 days.
So after I saw you speak in Manhattan, I went and did something similar. So I took now I think the mistakes I made was I used Vistage cards. Maybe I should have used different ones. But what I would do is I would write. I was in effect building a Vistage group on Long Island. So I would figure out all the people in the relative area that kind of made sense to have conversations with, and I'd send them a handwritten note, hand addressed, hand stamped, handwritten note that said, "Owning a business is on Long Island." Now, if it's a guy, I would say, is like having a bad girlfriend. It treats you great in the good days. What does it treat you like in the bad days? Question mark. Let me know when you're ready for a cup of coffee and a conversation. And
Yeah,
so I did that for 13 weeks in a row, and the response rate was phenomenal. There was always some CEO would call me up and go, "What are you sending me this stuff for?" And then what I
yeah,
would do is I would increase in the silliness of
yeah,
the actual stuff I would send to him. I'd send him like
yeah,
little feet, like, "Let me know when you're ready to kick so much ass your foot hurts," stuff like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it definitely stood out. I definitely got calls on it. It actually worked, but maybe I could have even done a better job. You kinda caused me to raise my game in the hokiness aspect, you know?
There's another version that I promote also in connecting with people, and that's using FedEx envelopes. And this is an 11-week campaign. The thing about starting a business is you have to continuously keep your name in front of people. If you do one, two, three, or four, people forget. But if you do something for 11 weeks, like you were doing, people remember that. So the FedEx campaign goes something like this. You do a handwritten letter. "Dear Mr. Perot, with our background in producing widgets, I think we could be of service to your company. Give me a call." Handwritten letter. Inside a FedEx envelope. Send it by second day delivery. You save some money. Send it on a Thursday. It'll arrive Monday morning. They'll think you've done it overnight. The second week, no response. Same letter, but you rewrite it. You don't make copies because people can tell the difference. The third week, same letter, same letter. The fourth week, for those who don't respond, add a little yellow post-it note that says, "I'm sure glad you finally opened this." Or, in light with your silliness, "Aren't you impressed with the way I got your attention?" Nah, I don't like people who do that. The fifth or sixth week, do something creative. Do a 30-second video. "Hello, Mr. Perot. I'm the one sending you the Monday morning FedExes. My mother thought you might want to see I'm a really nice person. So here I am. Give me a call. Have a good day." And the only thing in the FedEx envelope is a flash drive. The seventh week, for those who've not responded, send each one of them a brand new baseball, little cardboard box. And the note says, "I'm the one sending you the Monday morning FedExes, and sooner or later we will play ball, so give me a call." So somebody in one of my Vistage groups that I spoke for, Mark, thought I had small thinking. So instead of sending the baseball, this is in St. Louis, a big insurance company, they sent a basketball by FedEx in the seventh week. Big magic marker letters on the basketball, "Give us a shot." And that company went after 10 potential new clients for 11 weeks. They got all 10 clients. And the
So I'm
CEO,
curious. So I asked you this when you were presenting in Manhattan, that I think that this kind of corny, hokey aspect works even better in New York than it does in, like, let's say, Omaha, Nebraska. Because I was just there, and everybody's corny and hokey in Omaha, Nebraska. Like, everyone in New York is an asshole on some level or other. So when you hit them with something so corny and hokey, it is such a curveball. They don't know
oh,
what
yeah,
to do with it.
yeah, exactly. So the CEO of the insurance company in St. Louis told me later, he said, "When I walked into the offices of those 10 CEOs that became new clients, they all had my basketball on their credenza." You can't buy that kind of advertising, Mark. I don't care how much money you have.
All
You
right,
can't
all
buy
right. So
that.
let me spitball with you. I'm thinking, like, take they sell these silver Sharpies. it actually writes out in silver or gold or what have you. If you autograph the basketball based on your autograph, it would even make it corny and hokey, you know? So, all right,
You
so
got
let
one
me,
right behind you up there. You got a
yeah,
nice right there with somebody sitting
it's
there.
Pat Riley. So he matters more than I do on a basketball court. But the deal is
Yeah,
the it's the corny hokey aspect and curveball. So now I remember what I used to do is there was a special type of card that was a pop-up card. You opened it up and it turned into something, and then whatever it turned into, I would do a derivative of that and say, like, if it was, like a bear, it would pop up in a bear. It's like, "Are you ready for the next bear market?" And then
exactly.
like, if it was a bull, it was like, "Are you ready for the next bull market?" And I did 13 of them, increasing in the corny and hokiness of it and the
Absolutely.
wacky aspect of it for 13 weeks.
Absolutely. The 10th week of the 11-week campaign, you send one brand new shoe every Sunday.
Yeah, I remember the snap. Yeah, yeah.
You remember that? And the note says, I'm the one sending the money morning FedEx system. Now that I've got one foot in the door, call me. And then the 11th week, for those who've not responded, I'm the one sending the money morning FedEx system. I know what you were waiting for to call me. You were waiting for the other shoe to drop. It just did. Give me a call. Amazing. Some people get appointments just because somebody wants to meet the person doing it.
Oh, I did. So there was a guy who
Yeah,
was running, there's a I can't remember the name, Skyline, something like that. It was a CEO that had a franchise for, like, building banners and stuff like that for trade associations, and the guy literally called me, he says, "I just wanna talk to you because I want my salespeople to do exactly what you're doing because man, did you
exactly.
get my attention."
And if you're doing that to me, and I just want to meet you because I'm curious and I have no business for your new company, I'm starting getting to know you, and I'm thinking, what a creative person. Wait a minute, I know Harry over there who might be able to use your business. When
Okay.
is the last time anybody with a brand new business did this to me? Never.
Alright, so let me jump in here because what we gotta do is we gotta move over to the other platform at the Middle Market Forum. Now we're gonna be talking about how do we relate to this with Vistage members as opposed to startups. So the deal is that, so please join us over there.